Welcome back to War of the Ring 2nd Edition. There's going to be a battle. This episode, I can guarantee you. Alright, we have 3 dice remaining for the Shadow player, only 1 for the Free Peoples for the rest of this turn. So let's get down to the Shadow player, their dice, and see which die they're going to use for an action right now. Alright, and the Shadow player has a muster army and 2 character dice. They're going to go ahead and use the muster army die as an army die. So they're going to be moving 2 armies on the board. Oh man, more army movement. Alright, let's get to the board and find out where those 2 armies are going to be moving to. The first army movement is going to be the Uruk-hai here in the Gap of Rohan, going right in here to Isengard. And that takes the forces there. Now, I believe 2, 4, 6, 8, yeah, to 10 units with Saruman on the borders of the Fords of Isen. Ooh, man. All right, second army movement. Well, let's see where that's going to happen. All right, well, it looks like a couple of the Dunlanders, or I guess Uruk-hai, are going to move in here with the Shadow Army. So we have regular Sauron units now. We have Uruk-hai, and that takes this army to 10. I believe 2, 4, 6, 8, yeah, 10. All right, that's the Shadow die. Now it's back to the Free Peoples player to see what they're going to do about that. And the Free Peoples have only 1 character die left. We're going to use that character die to move companions. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over to Rohan, and we're going to have Gandalf and Pippin head on their way towards Gondor. Okay, so we're moving companions. Now Gandalf has a leadership of 3, so he can move 3 spaces, and he can also take Pippin with him, even though Pippin's leadership's only 1. So they're going to move 3 spaces, 1, 2, and 3 into the Duradun Forest. So they're trying to make their way to Minas Tirith. They're only 1 away, but they're getting there. That's the end of the Free People's action dice. The Shadow player has 2 dice left. Let's see what they're going to do next. The Shadow player has 2 character dice left. They don't want character dice this time, though. They want to change this to an army muster die, and they're going to do that by using the spent ring that the Fellowship player used earlier. So that's going to be removed from the game now by using that. And we're going to change it to this, so we're going to be using a muster die for the Shadow player this turn. And for the muster action, yes, we're going back to Isengard. We're going to use the Voice of Sauron, which means we can replace 2 regular units with 2 elite units. So the Uruk-hai get replaced with Warg Riders. And now there's 5 elites, 5 regulars, and Saruman on the borders of the Fords of Isen. We have 1 last die for the Shadow player. I wonder what he's going to do with it. And the final die for the Shadow player this turn is a character die. They are going to move or use 1 army with leaders in it on the board. I don't know where that's going to be, so let's find out here right now. And so it begins. It looks like the Sauron units are going to be attacking Lorien. So how does a battle work? Well, there's a bunch of steps when you resolve a battle. The first thing is playing combat cards. It's optional, but we as the Free Peoples are going to play a combat card. The Sauron player has decided not to. Now the other thing is, because Lorien is a stronghold, on the first round of attack, because it's basically a fortified location, the Shadow player needs to roll a 6 to hit. And the Elven units here only need a 5 or 6 to hit, because the Sauron units are in the field, and the Elven units are basically in a stronghold location. So stronghold city locations or fortifications give them +1 in the first round of combat. So we have more than 5 units for the Shadow Army. They're going to be rolling 5 dice. The Elven units have 3 elites and 1 regular. The leaders don't count for army strength. They're going to be rolling 4 dice. I'm going to be using white dice for the Elven unit, Free Peoples, and I'm using red dice for the Shadow player. So let's take a look at the card that the Elven units are going to be using for this round of combat. And the card they're going to be playing, and of course it will be discarded after, and it only counts for one round. Play if the Free People's, it's called Valor, play if the Free People's elite unit is in the battle. Well, it is. We have 3 elite Elven units. Add 1 to all dice of your combat roll. So they're going to be hitting now on a 4, 5, and 6, rolling 4 dice. Whereas the Sauron units are only going to be hitting on a 6, and they're rolling 5 dice. So we're going to get out the dice tray, going to roll all those dice together, and we're going to see what happens in this first round of combat. Now, I should say, the elves could also, before anything happens, have retreated into a siege. They could go into the stronghold in Lorien, and that would be the end of the battle. But they've decided to fight at least one round of battle before going into the stronghold. So we're going to see how this round goes and take it from there. All right, let's get to the dice tray and roll up the first battle of Middle-earth. All right, well, we have 5 dice for the Sauron units, 4 dice for the elves. And I should say there's re-rolls involved as well. Because there are 2 Nazgul, any 2 missed dice for the Sauron player can be re-rolled. Because the elves have 1 leader, they can re-roll 1 missed die. And I'm going to roll these all together because obviously the red, the Sauron units, the white are the Free Peoples, the elves, and let's see what happens. Now remember, the elves hit on a 4, 5, 6. Sauron units hit only on a 6. Oh, this is bad. So we got 1 hit for the Sauron units. Ooh, that's not good. 5, 4, 4, and 3 are all misses. And we have 1 hit on a 4 for the Elven units. Now it's re-roll time. Now we have 2 Nazgul, so we get 2 re-rolls of misses for the Sauron units, 1 Elven leader re-roll. See what else we get. And it looks like the elves got another hit, and the Sauron units missed. So the total damage there in the first round is the elves take 1 damage, and the Sauron units take 2. So let's go to the board and remove those casualties. Alright, so the battle ends with the Elven units taking 1 damage. Now, they can downgrade 1 elite to a regular, or they can get rid of 1 regular. I think they are going to downgrade one of their elites to a regular. This elite now is out of the game and replaced by a regular unit. Now, their strength is still 4, but they have downgraded and gotten rid of one of their elites. Now, for the Sauron player, they have to get rid of 2. They can get rid of 1 elite, or they can get rid of 2 regulars. So they're going to get rid of just 2 of the regular Sauron units, dropping their strength, total strength now down to 8. But they still have quite a force massed here with 2 Nazgul. And now the attacker can decide to attack again. And they have to think about this for a minute. I think they are going to attack. And what's going to happen in the second round of battle now? If the elves do not decide to retreat into the stronghold, they don't get that fortification bonus anymore. So now the Sauron army would hit them on a 5 and 6 instead of just a 6. So that's something the elves have to think about. The Free Peoples, we're going to check our cards, see what we get. And I don't know, I think it might be advantageous for us at this moment to retreat into the stronghold. Try not to take any more casualties from the Sauron units, keeping in mind that the Fellowship can enter and leave fortifications under siege freely. So it's not like they're going to be blocked out of Lorien by having the elves under siege there. So just to clarify that, so you know that's a possibility. All right, I'm going to check the cards, and I think as a Free Peoples, Sauron unit is going to continue to attack us. So we have a decision to make whether we're going to retreat into the stronghold or fight another round of battle. So let me check my cards and see if it's worth fighting another round or just hightailing it into the fortification. All right, the elves say, bring it on, Sauron. They're going to stand their ground. They will be playing a card, so the free peoples are going to be playing a card. The shadow player is not going to be playing a card again. He only has 2 cards. He's not playing any because he probably doesn't have any that are of use at the moment. So let's take a look now at the card the elven player is going to play, and then we're going to have another round of battle. And the card we're playing this time is Advantageous Position. Play if the defending army is inside the borders of a free people's nation. It is. It's within the borders of Lorien. Subtract 1 from all dice on the combat roll of the shadow player. An unmodified 6 is still considered a hit. So basically what this is going to mean again is the shadow player needs to roll 6s again for hits. And the elven player needs 5s and 6s this time. So let's get to the dice tray again. Once again, we're going to have 5 dice for the shadow player, 4 dice for the elves. Shadow player needs a 6 to hit. Elves need a 5 or 6. Let's get to the dice tray and see what happens. Oh yes, and these cards only last 1 round of battle, and then they're discarded. So this is going to happen for this 1 round, and then we have to decide if there's going to be another round of battle or not. So let's take a look and see what we're going to do. Alright, we've got the dice out again. 5 for the shadow player, 4 for the elves. Shake them all up again together, and it's looking not good for anybody. So, no hits at all. That's no hits for the elves, no hits for the shadow player. Now, the shadow player has 2 Nazgul. They get 2 rerolls. The elves have 1 leader. They get 1 reroll. So we're going to roll this dice. Now remember, the elves hit on a 5 or 6, the shadow player on a 6. And there is no hits at all. That was a complete stalemate. Excuse me. So, once again, we have to decide if there's going to be another round of battle as I lose my voice. Be right back. Wow, no hits at all on either side. Okay, the elves, again, the Sauron units are pressing the attack. They want to go in there and eat elven flesh. And the elves, one more time, are going to say, you know what, Sauron, suck it. We're going to play 1 more card, and we're going to have 1 more round of combat. Sauron player not going to play a card. So let's take a look at the card we're going to play. We are burning through our cards like crazy. We're only going to have 2 cards left after we play this. So let's get to the table and take a look at our next card. And it's basically the same bottom ability, Advantageous Position. So we've just gone through this. So what's going to happen is shadow player needs to roll a 6. The elven player, free peoples, need to roll a 5 or 6. So let's get back to the dice tray. We're going to have the same odds of dice rolling again for the next round of combat. See if something different will happen this time. Alright, we got the dice pool. We get 5 for the shadow player, 4 for the elves. Once again, we're going to shake them up. And we're going to see what happens this round of battle. Ooh, that is going to hurt. The shadow player rolls 2 6s. That's going to be 2 hits. The elven player has rolled no hits at all. And now it's time for reroll. So those are hits. We get 2 rerolls for the shadow player, only 1 for the free peoples. So let's see what we're going to get here. Whoa! So throw it on the floor. Right. That was the shadow die on the floor. All right. 2 for the Nazgul, 1 for the leader of the elves. And this time the elves come through and get 1 hit. So now we're going to have 2 hits against the elves, 1 against the shadow player. Let's get rid of those casualties. Oh man, that was painful for the elves. They had the upper hand and they just didn't perform. All right, 2 casualty. Well, we'll take the 1 casualty for Sauron. He's just going to lose 1 of his regular units. They just go back into the pool. They can be recruited again later. Of course, the elves, different story. When they lose units, they are out of here. They are going to lose 1 regular unit. And it's because they don't have enough reinforcements to downgrade the 2 elites. So they're going to lose 1 regular. Now, when you downgrade, so he's out of the game. So when you downgrade a elite unit, you can take units that are out of the game to downgrade them. So that was 1 hit for the elves. This is going to be 2 hits for the elves. They're going to downgrade a leader to a regular unit. So what happened is we had 1 regular unit left in our reinforcements for the elves. It's going to 1 hit downgrading a leader to regular, and 1 regular unit is out of the game. But the one that's out of the game can downgrade that elite unit, if I'm making any sense at all, which I'm probably not. Okay, that's the end of that battle. The forces of Sauron are not finished yet. They're going to press the attack again. They still have an elite and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units to attack the Elves in Lorien with. This time, the Elves in Lorien are saying, you know what? I don't think, because we have no cards left we can play, we want to hang around here and fight anymore. So we are going to take our units right before the battle happens, and we're going to retreat into the stronghold. So we're going to take our 1 elite, 2 regulars, and our leader, and it is going to be retreating into the stronghold. And on the side of our board, we have boxes that have all of the strongholds in the game on them. So we're going to put those forces into the Lorien box. And here's the Lorien box. We're going to put the leader, the elite, and the 2 regulars, elven units, into the Lorien box. So they are now safely inside the stronghold. And the thing now is, every time you attack a stronghold, round after round after round, you need to roll a 6 to do a damage to units in a stronghold. The flip side of this is, when the elven units are in the stronghold, they can't recruit units. So they are basically locked into their stronghold. They can't recruit units. They can't do much except defend at a 6. So let's go back to the board, because now those shadow forces are going to storm their way into the Lorien location. Alright, the Sauron units, the 2 Nazgul, and all these units go right into the Lorien region, and they are besieging Lorien. Good stuff for the Sauron player, not so good for the Free Peoples. And like I said, though, Frodo, Sam, and the Fellowship companions can freely move into and out of a stronghold that is being besieged. So I guess they sneak in at night and they sneak out again in the morning, or however you want to figure out how they do that. So that's what's happening. That's going to conclude all the dice play for this episode. So we're going to refresh the dice pool and draw 2 new cards, and then roll the dice, and that's going to be the end of our episode for today. And in fact, I've checked the timer on my playthrough here, and we are very fast approaching that 20-minute mark. So I'm going to leave it off here. That basically concludes, I forget if this is a round 5. Round 5, I believe, we've already done. And you can see a very long game. Right now we've got Sauron with some Uruk-hai forces in there, or I guess Men of Dunlin, attacking Lorien directly. We've got them holed up in their stronghold. We have an absolute mass of the units in Isengard, right at the borders of the Fords of Isen, staring down at Rohan. And we have 30 or 29 units here, 3 Nazgul, on the borders of Gondor. We've also got Gandalf and Pippin now riding as fast as they can to Minas Tirith to activate the Men of Gondor and hopefully shore up their defenses once that absolute wave of Sauron units presses its way into the past the borders of Gondor. Wow. So thanks so much for watching along. Thanks for your comments, subscriptions, likes. This is War of the Ring 2nd edition, and it looks like the battle has begun. So thanks so much, and we'll see you in the next episode.